Most people spend the first half of their life building someone else's dream, and the second half wondering where theirs went. If you've ever looked at your life and felt this quiet, nagging sense that something's missing, not dramatic, not a crisis, just a low-level feeling that you're drifting, this video is going to explain why that happens and, more importantly, how to fix it. By the end of this, you're going to walk away with a completely different way of thinking about purpose. Not the Instagram version. The real version. Here's something most people don't talk about. The feeling of purposelessness hits hardest not when things are going badly, it hits hardest when things are going fine. You've got the job. Maybe you've got the relationship. You're keeping it together. But underneath all of it, you feel weirdly hollow. That's not a personal failure. That's actually one of the most common human experiences there is. And the reason it keeps happening to people, smart, capable, driven people, is because nobody ever taught us what purpose actually is or how it works. So that's what we're going to dig into today. No fluff. No motivational posters. Just real answers. Let's start with the biggest myth you've probably been carrying around for years. The myth is this: purpose is something you find. Like it's hiding somewhere. Like if you just travel enough, read enough, journal enough, meditate enough, eventually you're going to stumble onto this thing called your purpose and everything will click. That's not how it works. And that belief is actually one of the main reasons people stay stuck. Think about it like this. Imagine you're learning to ride a bike. You don't find your balance by standing still and waiting for it to arrive. You find it by moving. Balance is a dynamic thing. It exists in motion. The purpose is the same. It's not a destination. It's not a label you find and stick on your chest. It's something that emerges as you engage with the world, with problems, with other people, with things that matter to you. The reason this matters for someone in later life, whether you're 35, 45, 55, or beyond, is that the early years of adulthood are often about following the script. School, career, relationships, repeat. And that script, whether it was given to you by your family, your culture, or just societal pressure, doesn't leave much room for you to figure out what actually moves you. So by the time you hit a certain age, you've been running someone else's program for so long, you don't even know where their code ends and yours begins. That's not a crisis. That's an opportunity. But only if you stop waiting to find something and start building something instead. If this is making sense so far, go ahead and like the video and subscribe so you don't miss the next breakdown. Alright, let's keep going. Now here's where things get interesting, and maybe a little uncomfortable. A lot of the purposelessness people feel in later life isn't just about not knowing what they want. It's about not knowing who they are anymore. Because here's what happens. We spend so much of our 20s and 30s defining ourselves through roles. I'm a student. I'm a professional. I'm a parent. I'm the one who holds it together. I'm the ambitious one. I'm the responsible one. And those roles, they're useful. They give you structure. They give you identity. But at some point, you look around and realize you've been living inside a character you built for someone else's story. There's a guy named Richard Feynman, brilliant physicist, Nobel Prize winner, and later in his life, people would ask him why he still spent so much time on seemingly trivial problems that had nothing to do with his famous work. And he said something that stuck with me. He said he did it for the sheer pleasure of finding things out. Not for the outcome. Not for the recognition. Just for the pure, direct pleasure of curiosity. That's a man who knew who he was underneath the titles and accomplishments. So here's the question that might feel small but is actually huge. Who are you when there's nothing to prove and no one watching? What would you spend your time on if success wasn't on the table? If nobody was going to applaud it, monetize it, or post about it? That's not a rhetorical question. Actually sit with it. Because the answer, whatever version starts to surface, that's usually a breadcrumb pointing toward something real. Okay, so here's a pattern that shows up almost universally in people who do find a strong sense of purpose later in life. It's not that they found the perfect passion. It's that they found a place where what they're good at meets what someone else genuinely needs. There's a concept you might have heard of called Ikigai. It's a Japanese idea that roughly translates to a reason for being. And at its core, it's about the intersection of four things. What you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be supported for. Now I'm not going to walk you through a worksheet here. But I do want to pull out the piece that most people miss. Most people, when they're searching for purpose, focus almost entirely on themselves. What do I love? What am I passionate about? What fulfills me? And those questions matter. But purpose almost always has an outward direction. It's not just about what feels good to you, it's about what you contribute. What gap you fill. What problem do you solve for someone else? Think about anyone you know who seems genuinely purposeful. Not just happy but purposeful. There's almost always something bigger than themselves that they're oriented toward. A craft they want to master and teach. a community they're trying to build, a problem they can't stop trying to solve. That orientation, that pull toward contribution, is what separates people who feel alive from people who feel like they're just managing time. And here's the good news for anyone in their later years. You have something that a 22-year-old doesn't have. You have real experience, real failures, real stories, real scars. And those things are exactly what make your contribution meaningful. The older you get, the more specific and valuable your perspective becomes, if you're willing to offer it. Let me be honest with you for a second. Sometimes the reason people can't connect to purpose isn't philosophical. It's practical. It's fear. Fear that they've left it too late. Fear that pursuing something meaningful will cost them security, relationships, and other people's approval. Fear that they'll try and fail and confirm their worst suspicion about themselves, that they're just not someone things work out for. I want to address that directly. There's a woman named Vera Wang. You might know her as one of the most famous fashion designers in the world. She didn't design her first dress until she was 40 years old. Before that, she was a figure skater, then a Vogue editor. She started her actual purpose, the work that defined her legacy, at an age when a lot of people have already decided the window is closed. Vera Wang is not an exception. She's an example. The window is not closed. But here's the thing, and this is important. She didn't wait for the fear to go away before she moved. She moved and brought the fear along for the ride. That's what every person who builds a meaningful second chapter has in common. Not fearlessness. Willingness to move anyway. If you're sitting there right now feeling like you've wasted time, I want to reframe that for you. Every detour you've taken, every wrong turn, every job that didn't fit, every version of yourself that you've outgrown, none of that is wasted. All of it is data. All of it is material. The question is whether you're going to use it. Now let's get practical. Because one of the things I see people do, and I say this with genuine empathy, is they have a big awakening around purpose, and then they spend the next 3 years just thinking about it, reading about it, talking about it, and never actually doing anything different. Purpose is not an idea. It's a practice. Here's what that actually looks like in real life. First, shrink the frame. Don't ask yourself, what is my life's purpose? That question is too big to live with on a Tuesday morning. Instead, ask, what's one thing I could do this week that would feel genuinely meaningful? Not impressive. Not productive. Meaningful. Second, track your energy, not just your time. Most people know where their hours go. Fewer people pay attention to which activities leave them feeling more alive, and which ones leave them feeling drained. Start noticing. Because your energy response is one of the most honest signals you have about what actually matters to you. Third, give yourself permission to experiment without commitment. You don't have to quit your job to explore your purpose. You don't have to blow up your life. You can take a class, volunteer somewhere, write something, build something small, have a conversation with someone whose work lights you up. These are not frivolous detours. They're how you gather the information you need to move forward. And fourth, and this one is maybe the most uncomfortable, stop consuming content about purpose and start producing something. Write the article, record the video, teach the class, build the thing, share the idea. Because purpose almost never appears in the consumption phase. It appears when you start creating, contributing, building, when you shift from taking in to putting out. Okay, here it is. The thing I've been building toward. The reason so many people struggle to find meaning in later life isn't that they're out of time or out of options. It's that they're waiting for certainty before they act. They want to know it's going to work before they try. They want to feel sure before they move. They want the purpose to reveal itself fully before they commit. But meaning doesn't work that way. Meaning is created retroactively. Think about the most meaningful experiences of your life. They probably didn't feel meaningful at the moment. They became meaningful because you showed up, went through them, and made something out of them. Viktor Frankl survived the Holocaust. He wrote one of the most important books ever written about human meaning, Man's Search for Meaning, and his central argument was this: we don't find meaning, we create it. Even in the worst circumstances imaginable, meaning is something a human being actively makes through the choices they take, the attitudes they hold, and the way they engage with their own suffering. If meaning can be created inside a concentration camp, it can be created in your life. Regardless of how late you think you've started, how much time you think you've wasted, or how stuck you feel right now. The door is open. The only question is whether you're going to walk through it. Here's what we covered today, fast version. Purpose isn't found, it's built through action and contribution. The identity you've been performing for years may not be yours, and it's worth asking who you are underneath it. Meaningful purpose almost always points outward toward a contribution, not just inward toward a feeling. Fear of it being too late is not a sign to stop, it's a sign you care. And finally, meaning is created through engagement, not discovered through searching. If any part of this hits home, do one thing before you close this tab. Write down one answer to this question. What would I spend my time on if success wasn't on the table? Don't overthink it. Don't edit it. Just write what comes up. Because somewhere in that answer, there's usually a seed of something worth paying attention to. And if you want to go deeper on this, if you want to actually start building the kind of life that feels like yours, subscribe. This channel exists entirely for that. In the next video, I'm sharing 5 time management hacks to boost your productivity, the idea that discipline is the foundation of success. If the video was helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more powerful content like this. And check out this playlist for even more productive, mindset-shifting videos that will help you level up. See you in the next one.